What came next when Terrence Howard took the stand? With just one chilling, cryptic line, he set the internet ablaze and reignited a mystery many thought was buried. At the center of the firestorm, a girl few remembered, until now. Diddy, long known for keeping his world tightly controlled, was blindsided. That one vague reference turned heads, triggered rumors, and brought a forgotten live stream back into. Now, whispers are swirling across social media, and one name keeps echoing louder than the rest. Ava. What did Terrence really mean? Was there a deeper truth, or just smoke and speculation? One thing's for sure, the internet isn't letting this go anytime soon. Celebrity image making in real time. In 2020, during the height of the global pandemic, Sean Diddy Combs went live on Instagram in what appeared to be a heartwarming and spontaneous gesture. In that live stream, he introduced a young white girl named Ava as his adopted daughter. The interaction was brief but striking. Ava appeared somewhat unsure and reserved, while Diddy encouraged her to repeat her new name and embrace the moment. Following his prompting, Ava recited a story that seemed rehearsed. So, I was on the streets, and then Papa Combs decided he would like to be a caring man. Come inside and play with his kids. For many viewers at the time, the gesture was seen as a feel-good highlight amid the uncertainty of lockdowns. The visual of a powerful black music mogul extending familial affection to a young girl was widely interpreted as a symbol of unity and compassion, fitting the tone of celebrity-driven optimism that was common on social media during that period. Diddy's presentation of Ava during the live stream seemed to follow a pattern often seen in celebrity culture, an unscripted moment that nonetheless felt meticulously shaped. His casual but intentional framing of the scene suggested that this was not merely a private act, but a public one meant to be seen and shared. His comments during the stream, including a reference to adopting, like Madonna, seemed to align his actions with other high-profile figures known for adopting children from outside their racial or cultural backgrounds. We want to get it clear. I adopted you like Madonna adopted kids and everybody else. In fact, at one point, Diddy is heard directing Ava to narrate their story. You play with the kids, and I got permission from your mother. Say all of that. Whether intentional or not, this created a narrative around Diddy as a protective and nurturing figure, willing to expand his family during a time of global crisis. Social media played a key role in rapidly distributing and framing this event. Within minutes, clips of the stream were circulating on platforms like Twitter and TikTok, accompanied by emojis of hearts, claps, and words like wholesome and inspiring. These reactions helped shape the initial public consensus that Diddy had done something generous and touching. Platforms that reward emotional resonance helped cast the moment in a positive light before any critical reflection had taken place. This is common in celebrity culture, where the first impression often dominates the narrative, especially when aligned with public desires for uplifting stories during challenging times. However, not long after the live stream, a wave of speculation emerged. Rumors began to circulate about the nature of Ava's role in Diddy's life, questioning the authenticity of the adoption and the motives behind the announcement. These questions, while not dominant at first, planted the seeds for deeper scrutiny that would intensify as Diddy's public image came under broader legal and media examination in later years. Ava's disappearance from the public eye. Following Ava's brief introduction during Diddy's 2020 Instagram Live, her presence in his public life seemed to vanish almost entirely. During that live stream, Ava described the moment herself, saying, "So I was on the streets, and then Papa Combs decided he would like to be a caring man. So then he saw me, and decided to pick me up, and said to come inside and play with his kids." While the live stream moment generated buzz at the time, what followed was a prolonged and notable silence. Despite Diddy's reputation for sharing intimate family content, ranging from birthday celebrations and vacations to behind-the-scenes footage, Ava did not appear in any future posts. She was absent from holiday gatherings, family photo shoots, and candid moments that typically feature his for an audience used to seeing his family as part of his public identity. Ava's absence stood out more and more over time. Unlike Diddy's biological and previously known adopted children, who are regularly seen across various social media platforms, Ava left behind no apparent digital trace after the live stream. There were no photos of her at school functions, no tagged posts from classmates or friends, and no sign of birthday parties or public outings. This lack of visibility sparked questions, especially among online communities that follow celebrity families closely. For someone introduced so publicly and with such enthusiasm, her sudden disappearance became more noticeable with each passing month. The absence extended beyond Diddy's accounts. There were no known appearances on platforms run by family friends, extended relatives, or other associates. The contrast between Ava's post-live stream silence and the typical presence of celebrity children in the digital age added to the intrigue. It is common for the children of public figures to appear in some form, whether in curated family posts, paparazzi shots, or school-related acknowledgements. Even when parents maintain a degree of privacy, their children's existence is rarely erased completely from the digital space. In Ava's case, it seemed as though she had been deliberately withdrawn or concealed. This lack of traceable continuity led many to question whether she had truly become part of the Combs household in any long-term sense, or if her role was more temporary than initially suggested. As time went on, Ava's absence turned into a focal point for speculation. Rumors spread across social media, suggesting a coordinated effort to distance her from public view. Users began revisiting old clips, comparing timelines, and even searching public records to determine what might have happened. The curiosity wasn't driven by scandal at first. It stemmed from confusion. But as Diddy's public life began facing legal and reputational challenges, the mystery surrounding Ava's disappearance became a recurring point of interest among those attempting to piece together a fuller picture. How fans became investigators years after Diddy's 2020 Instagram Live introducing Ava, the public's perception of that moment began to shift. What was initially embraced as a feel-good gesture took on a different tone as internet users revisited the footage with fresh eyes. TikTok creators and Reddit users began sharing slowed-down clips and frame-by-frame breakdowns of Ava's body language, her awkward smiles, hesitant speech, and the way she looked off-camera during the stream, were all reinterpreted not as shyness, but as possible discomfort. What once seemed like an impulsive, heartfelt moment was now being questioned for its tone, structure, and underlying intentions. Observers also noted a recurring visual pattern in the limited appearances Ava made after that live stream. She was consistently shown in close proximity to Diddy's sons, but never his daughters. This pattern, while subtle, was flagged by online communities as potentially significant. Some began compiling visual timelines that placed Ava in the background of family videos or still shots where she appeared detached or uncertain. Her posture, expressions, and interactions were dissected as viewers tried to understand whether she truly fit into the family dynamic she was introduced into. These informal digital investigations weren't just about curiosity, they reflected a growing discomfort with the narrative presented years prior. Social media users leaned heavily on nonverbal cues, silence, and missing context to guide their questions. Why did Ava disappear so quickly from the public eye? Why were there no follow-ups after such a public debut? Fans began comparing her introduction to those of other celebrity children, noticing how most familial additions came with gradual integration. School updates, family outings, or casual mentions. Ava had none of that. From this absence, theories began to take shape. Rumors circulated that her introduction may have served a short-term image purpose rather than reflecting a long-term familial commitment. These conclusions weren't based on hard evidence but on perceived inconsistencies, which gained momentum in online spaces. TikTok, Reddit, and other platforms became key engines of this narrative shift. What started as casual commentary evolved into detailed video essays and threads analyzing every angle of Ava's brief public presence. Users exchanged screenshots, matched backgrounds across different dates, and debated the intent behind Diddy's live stream. As more voices joined in, the tone around Ava's story transformed. The once heartwarming moment became, for many, a symbol of something more complicated, perhaps performative, perhaps strategic. Whether or not these conclusions were accurate, they reshaped public dialogue and intensified scrutiny of Diddy's actions and intentions. Whistleblower disruption. Terrence Howard's unexpected remarks during a Valtimement interview added a new layer to the evolving narrative around Diddy and reignited public interest in the case involving Ava. Howard recounted an odd encounter with Diddy, who had been persistently inviting him under the pretense of discussing acting. He recalled, "And so eventually you're going to go too far, you know? Who knows what happened to Philip? Who knows what Heath had to do in order to get to where he was at? Puffy invited me 4 weeks asking me to come and teach him how to, you know, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. So then my assistant was like," although Howard's testimony was not originally related to Ava, a moment during his statement caught widespread attention. In describing a personal encounter, he paused to reference a vague but unsettling situation involving someone you wouldn't expect, which many online interpreted as a thinly veiled allusion to Ava. The comment was brief and lacked detail, but its ambiguity invited speculation. It was enough to prompt internet users and commentators to re-examine previously overlooked links between Howard's experience and the ongoing questions surrounding Ava's disappearance from the public eye. Howard also shared an account of visiting Diddy under the assumption they would be discussing acting opportunities. According to his description, the meeting quickly shifted in tone. There were no scripts, no rehearsals, just an invitation to hang out and listen to music. Howard described the encounter as feeling increasingly strange, particularly after an assistant allegedly warned him that Diddy's intentions were not about acting. Though no specific claims were made against Diddy in that testimony, Howard's account painted a picture of discomfort and unease, raising broader concerns about boundaries and intent in high-profile relationships. This personal story, while anecdotal, drew attention for its implications. Following Howard's testimony, online discussions quickly expanded beyond his experience. Rumors began to circulate that his comments were indirectly connected to Ava's timeline, particularly the period shortly after her brief public debut. The timing of Howard's encounter and his reference to an unexpected individual fed into theories that Ava's presence in Diddy's life may have coincided with questionable behavior behind the scenes. While no direct link was established, the coincidence in timing and tone was enough for some observers to reconsider what they thought they knew. Howard's words became a springboard for deeper speculation into patterns of conduct in Diddy's orbit. The media and public response to Howard's statement further intensified interest in Ava's story. Coverage of the courtroom moment was followed by viral clips and discussion threads, each attempting to parse meaning from his vague references. Ava's name began resurfacing in online conversations, not due to new appearances or updates, but because of the context Howard's testimony inadvertently provided. Whether intended or not, his remarks reignited suspicion and pushed the public to look more closely at how seemingly unrelated accounts might intersect with broader concerns about power, control, and secrecy in celebrity circles. Gene Deal's allegations of manipulation. Gene Deal, a former bodyguard who worked closely with Diddy for years, has emerged as a vocal figure sharing insider perspectives on the music mogul's actions and decisions. In an interview with The Art of Dialogue, Deal hinted at unsettling behavior he had witnessed firsthand, saying he started making them feel uncomfortable. In various interviews and online appearances, Deal claimed that Ava's brief appearance during the 2020 Instagram Live was not a spontaneous act of compassion, but a carefully calculated move. That's a touchy and difficult subject when you're a man and you have daughters. You understand? And that's why we as men need to play a prominent part in our daughters' lives.